This podcast episode is made possible by wowdigital.com, your trusted partner for nonprofit and charity website and design. Have you ever needed help with pulling consistent content from multiple departments or ensuring that every content that you create resonates with your nonprofit's unique voice? From tools that elevate your brand assets to creating flawless content calendars, we've got Abby back on the show and she's got you covered. Stay tuned and let's transform your content game. Welcome to the Nonprofit Digital Success Podcast. I'm your host, David, and in this episode, we're going to be talking with my good friend, Abby, having her back on the podcast again. If you missed the last episode with Abby, I'm going to do a quick little intro here. Abby has been a content strategist and copywriter for over 12 years. She's a founder of the Content Lab, a copywriting agency, and Content Goodies, providing content templates. She's also co-founder of Ireland Website Design, a full-service e-commerce agency, and LearnWrite, which is an LMS solution. Abby's also a mentor for other digital agency owners. So Abby, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here. And what an introduction.
Yeah, it's so great having you here. So let's just jump in and get started with this. You know, there's an elephant in the podcast. I'd say the room, right? Let's just talk for a quick sec about AI, right? Huge over the last year and a half. It's gotten even bigger with the prevalence of Chat GPT and Bard and this and that and whatever. What's your take on it?
I think it has its uses and it has its non-uses. So I would definitely say it's fantastic for ideation. If you suffer with writer's block or you just need, kind of high level introduction to subject matters, fantastic. Ask away. I know a couple of my friends use it as a free counseling service, literally just like, hey, AI, what can you tell me about this? How am I feeling about this? But in terms of professional settings, definitely recommend it for ideation. It's great for coming up with a list of like 10 blog titles or whatever. I am a little bit biased. I'm a professional writer, obviously, and I had a team of very talented professional writers, so we are biased, but it's not great at actually creating content that is publish ready. So it's great for doing a first draft. If you're not particularly comfortable doing a first draft, if you're stuck staring at that blinking cursor, definitely get AI to just get something on the page, but you want to edit it. It's not great at voice at the moment. It's not great at that uniquely human touch that good copy needs. So yeah, it has its uses and it has its not so great uses.
Yeah, I mean, like we use it in my agency for brainstorming. We do this with our clients as well. We've used ChatGPT to come up with topics to do that brainstorming, like Abby's talking about, and really kind of like kickstarting it to help get the juices flowing, so to speak.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's fantastic for coming up with ideas. I know quite a few people that use it for proofreading as well, but mixed results. Mixed results. So it's kind of like, find the errors and, kind of rewrite this without spelling and grammatical errors and stuff. But I'll stick to Grammarly.
Yeah, and Grammarly does have AI, but that's for like a whole other kind of conversation. Something you did say though is tone and voice. So let's talk about that because I think it's really important for organizations to think of their brand. When people think of brand, you think of logo or colors, right? Like you've got Nike or Coca-Cola or McDonald's or whatever brands you want to follow, right? And you can like instantly recall what these logos look like. But what a lot of people don't understand, the underlying part of the brand is the style, the tone, and the voice of the messaging. So what are your thoughts around how people should be thinking about that?
I think brand is kind of like the perception of your company. Kind of you can think of your company as a brand, but also as its own person. So, kind of it has a brand voice. It has a unique way of talking about itself. One of the things that I like to do in our workshops is to, kind of ask people if your brand walked into a room, how would you describe it? Is it attending meetings wearing flip-flops and shorts and a t-shirt, or is it a three-piece suit? And it's just those kind of like silly little questions that really kind of make you think outside of just like a color palette because your brand has its own personality and voice and tone are a very important element of that. I'm sure kind of we can throw a few slogans out and you'll instantly know who it is, and if tone is wrong, if the voice is wrong for a certain brand, you instantly know it. Like you read it and you're like, oh, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound like them. If we take like Wendy's, for example, they are renowned for their social media presence and, kind of their cheeky social media statuses and stuff. And that is very on brand. So if Wendy came out, well, not actually Wendy isn't a real person, which I'm quite disappointed about. But if Wendy's came out and kind of said something really serious, kind of very formal language, kind of we're talking 3+ syllables a word. You would be taken aback and be like, that isn't what I was expecting of this fast food chain at all. And it's the same for nonprofits. If you're really kind of fun and young and energetic, and then you start talking, kind of like a science teacher, no offense to science teachers, just a different type of voice, people will be taken aback and think, "Oh, that doesn't sound right." But yeah, that's a very quick introduction to voice, I guess.
So one of the things I think that organizations might struggle with is, all right, you've got a brand guy, you hired a design agency. Maybe it was my agency, just putting that out there a little bit. But you've hired an agency or yourself, you designed a logo. You've created a brand guide for that. So you've got like your primary, secondary fonts, primary, secondary, tertiary colors, acceptable use of the logo, all that kind of stuff. A lot of organizations and even businesses don't have anything around a style guide for content,
Yep.
right? So when we think about our organizations, even if you're kind of like small, medium, maybe you're a executive team, maybe some volunteers, making sure that everybody's on the same page, right? That everybody is who needs to create content is creating it in the same way, right? So one of the
Perfect.
things that I like to talk about is having a style guide for your writing, right? So, what are your recommendations in terms of being able to get consistent content and consistency in the tone and style and messaging from various people across an organization?
Yep. It is tricky. It is tricky. And a brand messaging guideline is guidelines even is the best kind of solution that you can really come up with. So a brand messaging guideline document is what kind of language is used, what kind of language isn't used. And it can go as in depth as you want. You can have examples of exactly how to write good headlines. You can have examples of literally down to, kind of we put full stops at the end of our titles on our website and stuff. You can be as in-depth as you want. A really useful thing that we include in all of our brand messaging guidelines is a voice tone matrix. So, kind of you can have it's literally just lines of boxes with two kind of opposite words at the end of each and a mark out of 5 as to where your company falls on the scale. So, kind of you can be super traditional or super modern and, kind of you just tick the box, then you give an example of how to write to that particular type of voice, that particular type of positioning. That could be so, so helpful, and you can give examples of how not to write as well, kind of like we don't curse or, kind of we don't talk about, our clients in a certain way. Kind of we only use positive language in everything. We don't frame things in a negative way. And although it may come as, kind of a natural to you or your team, for anybody that's incoming into your organization, it's essential because kind of otherwise they may come in and they're just like, oh, I just write it however. And it'll be off brand completely. And you may have to end up redoing it, or, you might get a complaint about something that's been written, or, you never know how it'll go. So they're incredibly important, especially if you're dealing with a lot of volunteers. So quite a few of the nonprofits that we've worked with, they rely on volunteers to run their social media because it's quite a time consuming thing. It is difficult to stay on top of trends and all this kind of stuff. Some of them before kind of we got the brand messaging guidelines sorted, you could literally go through and just be like, this person wrote this person wrote that, this person wrote this. Whereas you want it to be consistent, even down to how you spell things. If you have, kind of a UK volunteer and an Australian volunteer and a Canadian volunteer, they're all going to spell things differently. And of course, the lovely Americans as well, they're going to spell things differently. So
Like the
even just
word
literally,
color, like the word color,
exactly.
right? There is a U in color. I will die on that hill.
Do you know, it's funny, and even organization, the S and the Z, one of the no, kind of one of the most used words on, nonprofit website is spelled different around the world. So it's so easy to overlook the simple things, but it does damage credibility if it's not done correctly. So yeah, super important. But yeah, kind of I would definitely, you can give examples of how to write for social media posts. You can give examples of how to do reports. You can give examples of how not to do stuff as well, and then, kind of just hand it out to new teams, old teams, volunteers, everybody.
Think it'll be really great if organizations, as part of onboarding, provided the brand guide to new employees, right? Even the word nonprofit, you spell it as one word, two words, or hyphenated, right? There's different ways, and let's get on board. Is on board hyphenated or not, right? Like, let's make sure that everybody understands what we're expecting of them. Emails going to, let's say your organization has like an info at kind of general inbox, and that person who manages that is responsible for replying to inquiries that come in or forwarding them to other people internally. You want to have a consistent voice across that, especially when you're dealing with people outside your organization. You mentioned, Abby, don't speak in the negative if that's part of your style. I would highly recommend to everybody, never speak in the negative. So one of the big culprits is typing at the end of an email, don't hesitate to get in touch with me. No, that's like two negatives, right? It's not good. Instead, write something just as simple as, I look forward to hearing from you, or please get in touch with me if you have any questions. Rephrase it. And one of the things that we do here that I'm guilty of is using ChatGPT to chat. One of the things that I'm guilty of, aside from misspeaking, is using ChatGPT to reword things in the positive when I'm just, I can't mentally figure it out, right? Just like throw it in and be like, all right, flip this into a positive. And that's totally fine. But asking it for like 2,000 pages of 2,000 words of content, I don't think it's going to turn out to be as good as you expect.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, all right, we're talking about brands, we're talking about messaging, tone, style. Are there any tools that you would recommend that organizations could look at to create these professional brand assets?
Absolutely. I do have a voice tone matrix questionnaire guide thing. If you would like it, please just email me. And I'm sure the lovely David is going to provide my email with this podcast. Yeah, I'm happy to kind of share that. It's what we use in our own agency, and it's kind of a simple little Google Doc. You can share it internally with the team and just, make sure everyone has access to it. Outside of that, yeah, kind of I would keep it as simple as possible. You can do plenty of, if you have the time. I know everyone is time strapped, but you can do research into, kind of brand personas. My goodness, that was just, yeah, I couldn't remember that word. I'm so sorry. You can have a look, kind of at brand personas, make sure everyone has access to user personas. I know a couple of agencies that are using ChatGPT to create very thorough user personas for kind of their target market. But yeah, I would say, keep it as simple as possible. Of course, there are plenty of people that, use the likes of Canva and stuff to create beautiful guides that look amazing if they're doing it all in-house. If they're using like a content agency like mine, then, you'll be provided with documents. But yeah, if it's your first time really creating brand messaging guidelines, what I always like to do is collate everything you already have and figure out what you want to keep. What still resonates, what works, and then discard everything that doesn't work. It doesn't matter if it's been your mission for the last 25 years. Everything needs updating sometimes. And even just updating kind of core values, mission, sorry, vision even. Do you know what? You're not the only one that can't speak today, David. I am so sorry.
It's all good.
Um,
It's all good. Nobody,
uh,
nobody listening cares. It's all good. This is solid advice that you're giving everybody, and that's what counts.
exactly, exactly. And hey, it's on brand. Okay, I'm very much, take it as it comes. But yeah, so kind of even just updating that kind of stuff can heavily influence the language that you use going forward. So, kind of I'd get key decision makers into a room. I know it is difficult to get everybody into the same room if you're a larger organization, but say if you have like a yearly, kind of board meeting or whatever, and just kind of, work through it together. Get everybody's input that needs to have their input into it, and then, kind of get feedback from people, what they think. Does this sound right for us? A little treasure trove of language I find is actually Google My Business. Google Business Profile, sorry. Going back a few years there. Google Business Profile reviews. So have a look what people are saying about your organization online. See the language that they're using. Kind of, are you known as being very caring, very approachable, or are you known as being super efficient and, whatever it is? I think sometimes it's really easy to have in our own mind a vision of our brand that doesn't align with what people actually experience. So it's good to take a good hard look at kind of what people are saying, how they're experiencing you, and how it actually correlates to what you would like to be seen as. And that was very much off topic, but hopefully it's helpful.
I think it's important to review, as you said, find some content you've produced. Maybe it's an annual report. Maybe it's last week's email that you sent out. Grab that, take a look at it. Think about the work that you've done over maybe the last 6 months, 2 months, a year. What are you the most proud of? Take a look at the messaging that was in that when you put it together and look through it with a really, clear view on the goal of trying to look for what the tone is and just getting very clear with that. Just because you create it doesn't mean it has to stay that way forever, right? 6 months later, you're like, you know what? This doesn't quite feel right, great, tweak it, make some changes to it, adjust it. Totally fine to do that, but do it with intention.
Yeah, this is it. I think for a lot of organizations that have either, kind of grassroots or have kind of just grown over time organically, things just happen and language just is used. And, if you've never actually come up with a set of core values for your organization, or you've never come up with a mission statement for your, I think these things have bad reputations of, stuffy boardrooms and that's it. But, kind of a good set of core values, a good mission statement, vision, it can be used in everything from how someone answers the phone to how the social media is updated, how, kind of a campaign goes out. A good brand is implemented throughout every kind of touch point that you have with volunteers, with board members, with absolutely everybody that uses you.
The science tells us, and I talk about this probably on, it feels like every episode, it takes 7 or 8 contact points with somebody for them to know, like, and trust, right?
Mhm.
Imagine if each one of those contact points was a little bit off brand, right? What they understand about you is affected in that moment, right? It is important to make sure that you're on point as best as you can for the level of organization that you are.
Absolutely. It's a good point about the 8 touch points before converting as well. It's so difficult to get people on board, and you can spend quite a lot of money on advertising or, kind of just updating a website, whatever it is. This is the whole point of consistency in a brand voice and the brand experience is, if you present yourself as super professional, lovely, friendly, really approachable, and kind of somebody is like, yeah, these people could help me, or yeah, I really want to donate my time, I have limited time, I'm going to donate it to these wonderful wonderful people that do fantastic work. Then they ring up and say, hey, I want to I want to donate some time with you, I'd love to volunteer, and they get someone really rude on the phone. That's it. That's you've lost it, all of that hard work, all of that money spent, you've lost it. It can literally be as simple as that. Or if somebody doesn't reply to an email or is really curt in an email, and that's brand touch point. It's important to remember that, if you are set up as, someone that's super friendly and, open to everyone and really inclusive, you have to maintain that because otherwise kind of you can invest a lot in marketing and advertising and stuff and then just lose it at the last hurdle.
Absolutely. And if you need some help around creating these personas or understanding your brand, what people think of you, send out a survey. You've got, hopefully, after listening to many episodes of this, you've got some marketing in place. You're collecting email addresses. You're getting out there. Send out a quick little 5-question survey, right? And find out what people are actually thinking of you. If you've got people that are using services, just ask the people when they check them into the department or the area, hey, like, how did you find out about us originally? What is it about us that you like? What is it about us that you don't like? You can start doing things to change perception as well, right? So it's not just about coming out with the tone, the style of messaging, but if you're getting feedback that isn't what you were anticipating, you can either embrace it or you can work intelligently to modify that.
Absolutely.
All right. So how can you own the brand to make sure that everybody is consistent? Because you're going to have rogue departments that create a flyer for this and they put it up in a hallway somewhere, or they send out an email without you knowing about it. How can you wrangle that? Do you have any tips for that?
It depends on your relationship to those departments. So, and it depends on your management style. It depends on how much of a control enthusiast you are as well, and how much time you have for checking things. I always like to provide like a little checklist of, kind of have you reviewed this? Does it include this? Does it not mention this? Whatever it is, core points to your brand voice. And, they have to tick them off before it goes live or before it's, put up on the wall or whatever. That would be a low touch point kind of way of doing it. If you are a little bit more enthusiastic about maintaining control about kind of, positioning and stuff and how the brand is seen, you could check things. And which I don't recommend. Kind of the idea is we don't want to be checking through every single piece of communication or every single poster that goes up. What you want to have is a set of guidelines that anyone and everyone can look at, use, and as long as they're switched on upstairs, kind of they're gonna get it all done and it's ready and raring to go and it'll be on brand. So that's it. Kind of we're preempting issues by giving them everything they need in advance.
So, Abby, I've got 2 things that I want to add. One, the guidelines. Yeah, awesome. But I think you can level up the guidelines by having templates that you can give to the departments or the individual people. Be like, here, let this be your guide, right? Swap out these images, but the headline needs to be here. The logo is placed here always, right? So I think that would be really helpful. But if you're kind of like a medium size or a little bit larger organization, this is my recommendation. Hire Abby, hire the Content Lab, hire somebody else, right? Ideally, Abby. So just like putting that out there, but have a third party conduct an audit of your brand and then let them be the bad ones to go, okay, no, we need the brand to be this, this, this. Here's what you've produced. Here is the audit. Here's your path forward, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Obviously, my company does this, but kind of any company that is used to doing brand messaging knows to start with a thorough audit of everything. And, kind of that is from emails to social media profiles to, your Google reviews to website to everything and anything like reports, internal communications. Then, kind of they'll meet with you to go through what you actually like and what you don't like. What is on brand, what is outdated, what needs to go. And then, they can create a set of guidelines and templates, like David said, of, here's how to write this. Here's how to create that. There's options available for, kind of whether it's literally creating Canva templates if you're very DIY and you have a limited budget, or hiring an agency, and this is all we do day in, day out, so we know what we're doing. Or, kind of if you have a dedicated person in-house and this is their entire role, kind of we've worked with some larger nonprofits and they have, communication specialists this is part of their role. So there are options. No matter your size, there's always options.
Love it. Abby, this was so great. Always, as last time, awesome having you here on the show. I picked up some tidbits. I hope everybody listening to this or watching this can go back to their teams and have a conversation around this idea of what is our voice? If anybody wants to get in touch with you, what do they need to do?
Email me, yes, at abby@thecontentlab.ie. If you cannot spell my name, which is fair, it is spelled multiple ways. Feel free to just have a look at thecontentlab.ie and fill in the contact form, and I will be in touch.
Sounds so great. Thanks again for joining in, Abby. To everybody listening, if you want any of the details or Abby's right email address, just head over to our podcast show notes page. Honestly, I can't talk today. Just head over to our podcast page at nonprofitdigitalsuccess.com. Click on this episode for all of the details. And until next time, keep on being successful. And we're done.